when we're talking about developing discernment, especially when we're talking about, from that verse in Hebrews, we are going to practice to grow in our discernment. Part of it is just pay attention. All right, so as you go into a place, some of you have had some form of the gift of discernment for most of your life. So when you walk into a place, you're used to feeling certain things. So if we want to grow in this gift, we can say, Lord, I'm just going to pay attention today, and I want you to show me whatever you want to show me, and to be real intentional about asking him that. And then when you walk into a place, maybe it's into a church service, a ministry setting, and you feel something, take note. Take note of what that is, and then ask, Lord, what is this? Now, you may not get a direct answer, but just by asking, at some point, that makes you alert to be looking around to clues to what it is that you're feeling. Does that make sense? So we're going to pay attention, ask Lord, what is this? And then watch for patterns. Because if the Lord shows us something, a lot of times in this situation, he's going to repeat it over and over. He's going to make sure, he's going to ring the bell to make sure we understand what it is that we're experiencing and seeing. And then it's also really helpful to share with others who have the gift of discernment to say, okay, what were you sensing here? What were you sensing here? Now, it is interesting when it comes to discernment, you can have two discerning people that are in a particular place and room and discern two very different things. Part of that comes from gifting, experience. Some of that does come from personality, you know. This is more a general prophetic thing, but I had a friend he is type A, great guy. I love him very much. I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. But he tended, especially when he was younger, to be very hard on himself. He tended a little bit towards legalism sometimes. And, behold the kindness and the severity of God. He was a severity of God kind of guy. He bent very much that way. I had just been delivered from a lot of that severity of God stuff. So I was Mr. Hope, Mr. Kindness, Mr. Everything's going to be great. That's kind of where I was. And so he and I would be in the same place and get a prophetic word for a community or gathering, and they would be very different. Part of it was because he really only had a gate to hear and discern the more severe, the more negative words. I, on the other hand, I had trauma from all that. So I was like, I don't want to hear any of the negative stuff. I don't want to pay attention to any of that stuff. So I had closed off my gate to anything that might be negative or hard and was only looking for the hopeful stuff in there. And so between the two of us, we'd probably make a pretty full picture, but we spent most of our time wondering why the other one wasn't as prophetic as I was, When the truth is that we weren't really, we because of our own experience, our own issues, we had narrowed what we were willing to hear or discern from the Lord. Does that make sense? So I began to pray, Lord, Adam, he got some stuff right. He really did. He got some stuff there were hard things that came along and he nailed it, Now, it would be really helpful if he had some of the hope because good stuff came after that, And so from that, I said, Lord, I want to be able to discern and I want to hear prophetically the whole scope, be it good or bad, and just leave that up to you, and not bad, good, maybe good or hard. Maybe that's a better way of putting that. Does that make sense?